The book of Judges, one of the historical books of the Old Testament, narrates the period in Israel's history between the conquest of Canaan and the establishment of the monarchy. It is a period characterized by a cyclical pattern of sin, suffering, supplication, and salvation. The Israelites, having conquered Canaan under Joshua, struggle to maintain religious and social order. They fall into idolatry and moral decay, prompting God to allow their enemies to oppress them. In their distress, the Israelites cry out to God, who raises judges to deliver them. These judges are not judicial figures as we understand today, but military leaders and prophets. Perhaps the most striking feature of the book of Judges is its portrayal of this cyclical pattern. Each cycle begins with Israel's apostasy, or turning away from God, which leads to oppression by foreign powers. In their desperation, the people of Israel appeal to God for help, and God responds by raising a judge who leads them to victory. However, after the judge's death, the cycle of sin and oppression resumes. Notable scenes from the book of Judges include the stories of Deborah, Gideon, Jephthah, and Samson. Deborah stands out as a strong female leader. When the Israelites are oppressed by the Canaanite king Jabin and his commander Sisera, Deborah calls upon Barak to lead the army. Despite his hesitation, Barak, under Deborah's guidance, defeats Sisera's forces. Sisera himself meets a grisly end at the hands of Jael, who drives a tent peg through his temple while he sleeps. Gideon's story is one of faith and signs. God calls Gideon to deliver Israel from the Midianites. Doubtful of his ability, Gideon asks for divine signs to confirm his mission. First, dew on a fleece with dry ground around it, then the reverse. Bolstered by these signs, Gideon leads a small force of 300 men, chosen by God, to a miraculous victory over the Midianites. Jephthah's narrative is more tragic. An outcast who becomes a leader, Jephthah vows to sacrifice whatever comes out of his house to greet him if God grants him victory over the Ammonites. When his daughter, his only child, comes out to greet him, Jephthah is faced with fulfilling his tragic vow, highlighting the dangers of rash promises. Lastly, Samson's tale is one of might and folly. A Nazirite with immense strength given by God, Samson is destined to fight the Philistines. His exploits, including killing a lion with his bare hands and slaying 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of a donkey, are shadowed by his weakness for women. Delilah, bribed by the Philistines, deceives Samson into revealing the secret of his strength, his uncut hair. Once shorn of his hair, Samson is captured, blinded, and imprisoned. However, in a final act of strength, Samson pulls down the pillars of the Philistine temple, killing himself and many Philistines, including their leaders. The book of Judges ends on a somber note, reflecting the moral and social chaos of Israel without a central authority. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. It is a narrative filled with flawed human characters, divine interventions, and lessons about faith, leadership, and the consequences of turning away from God.